Am I the a-hole for letting our son use his untouched college fund as a down payment on a house and not using it to pay off our daughter's student loans? Our son just graduated college. He was extremely studious in high school and was able to get a full scholarship to the school of his choice. The college fund we saved for him therefore went untouched. Our daughter is a couple years older than our son. Despite our best efforts, she was never the greatest student. So while she was able to go to college, she received no scholarship money. The college fund we saved for her, which actually amounted to a little more than what we saved for our son, covered about half her tuition, with loans making up the rest. Our son did extremely well in college and graduated with a great job. We therefore decided to gift him his college fund to use as a down payment on a house. And with the stock market's gains over the last 4 years, it's grown quite a bit since he went off to school. Our daughter was furious when she found out that our son's college fund went towards him buying a house. She said that he's already way ahead of her in life, since he graduated debt-free with a much better paying job than our daughter's, and it's not fair to put him even further ahead. She maintains the fair thing to have done is to have put our son's fund towards paying off her loans. Both my husband, our son, and I think our daughter is being entitled, but she told some of our extended family how unfair we're being and they're taking her side. Are we somehow the unfair ones here? Now for the top comments. I'm inclined to say not the a-hole. This is a classic fair versus equal issue. Fair would say that both kids graduate debt-free, so long as you have the money to do so. That is, everyone gets what they need regardless of who needs more. While equal would say that each kid gets the same amount regardless of need. Neither is wrong, and given your kids aren't owed a college fund, you're already being very generous. It's really up to you whether you choose to be fair or to be equal. You choose equal. Each kid gets their own fund, and that's completely valid. Most wills choose equal too, giving each child the same amount regardless of who needs it more. My friend's parents chose fairness, leaving their money to their social worker son rather than their daughter married to a well-paid executive. But needs changed and they left her, cleaning out their accounts. He did have to share assets eventually, but she did not get alimony, have to be married 20 years in my state, and her standard of living is now lower than her brother's. That is super crappy. I would hope the son would realize this and give half his inheritance to his sister, which would be unlikely. I would have given a disproportionate amount to my child in greater need, but not 100% versus none. I'm sure her parents would be sad/ashamed at how it worked out. Not the a-hole. You had the same amount of money earmarked for each kid. Your daughter isn't entitled to more because she struggled more. You were perfectly fair giving them the same amount, and they used it the way each of them needed to. Actually, they said they saved up more money in the daughter's fund. Not the a-hole. The goal of college funds isn't to have complete equity of outcomes. It's to provide the same resources to each child. Kids will have different scholarships or differently priced schools, and that will impact how far their funds go. Presumably, you do the same for your daughter if the situation was flipped. Now, for the next story. Am I the a-hole for rejecting my stepkid's younger siblings from my daycare? I married my husband 10 years ago. My stepkids were 4 and 5 at the time, now 14 and just turned 16. My husband's ex has despised the fact my husband and I married before her and her husband. And she has made her hatred of me/us known to my stepkids, and in turn, my stepkids have closed themselves off from me and rejected my attempts to get close to them. We've been to court, we have presented proof to the judge, taken them to therapy, but mom's hold over them is strong, and her words are taken more seriously than my husband's with the kids. I tried to be a loving, caring stepmother who didn't overstep, but my stepkids have been perfectly clear. I am nothing to them and will always be nothing to them. So I am less hyper-focused in what they think of me. For years, it kept me awake at night with worry and sadness. Now, I'm sad. Breaks my freaking heart that I love them and they don't reciprocate because of some dumb issue their mom had with me that turned to hate. But it's the cards we have been dealt with. I run a daycare. It's the cheapest daycare around because I always dreamed of giving back in some way to working families. And so I was able to make it work. It is popular, but we always do our best to take kids when needed. My husband's ex and her husband have kids together. Their youngest two are not in school, and their household was hit hard by COVID, so they tried to register their kids in my daycare. I rejected them. I did so because I did not feel like it would be healthy to have that extra layer of dealing with each other. The woman already hates me, has told me not to touch her kids. And while I run the place, I also work there. With the kids. So never interacting with her kids will not be a thing that can happen. And I am afraid she would go out of her way to try and get me shut down as some petty revenge thing. The issue is, she was pissed about the rejection and told my stepkids, and they told my husband's family, who now think I'm the a-hole, as well as the ex and my stepkids, because this could have been me showing my stepkids that I'm willing to go out of my way for their other family. And that is fine. Except I have always done my best to be kind, to be friendly, to not fight, and it wasn't enough. I don't see this one thing tipping the scale after a decade. But I want to know if I'm the a-hole for rejecting the kids from my daycare? Not the a-hole. She asked you not to touch her kids. How can you do that if they're at your daycare? OP is being smart and protecting herself, her employees, and her business. All it takes is one allegation, and she could lose everything. Suppose on if the kiddos has an accident. What's to stop the mother from alleging abuse? Part of me thinks that's the mother's end goal anyway. She cannot stand OP. So why out of every other childcare situation known to humanity would she want her kids to be cared for by OP? Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your decision seems well thought out, and you have the right to do what's best to protect your own family and business. I can't even comprehend after everything she has done to you that she would even think this was okay to try to enroll her kids with you. Though it may very well have been another ploy to make you look bad. As in, she knew you'd say no. She knew it would cause more friction, and it was just another way to make you look bad to your stepkids. I'm sorry you have to experience all of this from your husband's ex, but your continued ability rising above the situation is a testimony to your character, and, well, her behavior is a testament to her own. Good luck. Not the a-hole. It sounds like you have a damn good reason not to be anywhere near her kids. If she's already told you not to touch her kids, then tries to enroll said kids at your daycare, yeah, I'd be worried too that she's trying to pull something. Not the a-hole. This would be a crap show waiting to happen if you allowed those kids in. Imagine they have a serious accident at daycare, or even not so overly serious but get a bruised knee, etc. Who do you think is getting the blame regardless of the circumstances? I'm about to sound like an a-hole, but the ex could be picturing a huge insurance payout if something were to happen. 100% you did the right thing rejecting them. This has been my fear too. Like maybe even a small paper cut, I could see sending her over the edge. Next story. Am I the a-hole for manipulating my daughter's marriage? From the title, I'm sure I, 49 male, do sound like one. My eldest daughter seems to believe I am, so wanted to know if she's right. A couple years ago, my daughter Nat, who was 21 at the time, introduced us to her fiancé, a 46-year-old man, literally 1 year younger than me. Everyone in the family was livid. My ex-wife, and so was I, honestly. It took a lot of restraint not to lose control the first time I met him. Nat said they met at work. He wasn't her direct supervisor due to them working different departments, but that still didn't sit right with me. She swore up and down they're in love and they were gonna make it work. Nat is a sweet girl, very smart and mature, but the first time I met him, I saw right through him. Actually got some pretty good advice from a close friend of mine. He encouraged me to befriend the guy, support my daughter even if I don't support it. But be his friend in a way that makes my daughter see his real age and show how completely different they really are. I wasn't over the top with it, but I did attempt to become close with him, not that I enjoyed any second of it. When they'd come over for a visit, we spent hours talking about politics, work, what our plans were once we finally hit retirement, shared stories from childhood. Sometimes I could tell the conversations would bore my daughter, even when we'd include her in them. It's been over a year since they got married, and Nat decided to leave him a few weeks ago. She asked me for help finding an attorney, so me and her mom have been helping out with that. She left their place, so at the moment she's staying with me. As I suspected, she realized they were not compatible at all, and it just felt weird according to her how similar me and him are. I'll be honest, I'm relieved I won't have to be his friend anymore. Everyone came over for Father's Day. Nat went with her brother to buy more chips and sodas, so it was only me and eldest daughter. My eldest daughter asked if I'd be able to cope with not having my buddy anymore, and I said of course. It's not like I enjoy being around the guy. She asked what I meant, and I explained I only became friendly with him so that Nat could see more of his actual age, how different they actually are, and so that she wouldn't shut me out of her life. My daughter is taking it like I intentionally manipulated the man in order to end his marriage. She thinks now that I'm an a-hole for befriending him under false pretenses, just to get Nat to leave him, and it's basically my fault they're divorcing. I'm not sure how it would be my fault. Nat said herself she saw how completely incompatible they were. But she does seem to think I was one for being part of why she left him. Honestly, I'm lost here. Am I the a-hole? Added to clarify, this conversation was with my other daughter, not with Nat. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You did good. Clearly, you were right about him. If you didn't expedite the process, she would have only realized it 3 to 5 years from now. She's upset because you were right and she was wrong. Sadly, this is the correct answer, only because it sucks she got taken advantage of to begin with. Not the a-hole. You were being polite and cordial, even if you meant to kill him with kindness and expose him, because that's just who he is. A 46-year-old man, her father's peer, not her own. There was no deceit or malice in your actions, only concern and support for your daughter and her husband, even if you didn't approve. I hope she can recover and be well from the divorce, and ends up happy as both an individual person and in any future relationships. If the fiancé had been a rage but unlikable for some reason, the same approach would have been a good one as well. 21 is still young enough to be in rebel mode. Not giving the daughter something to rebel against and not making staying with him feel necessary to save face was a good decision. Not the a-hole. Your only mistake was not taking this little bit of showmanship to the grave. Her marriage didn't end because of you. It ended because she realized, with a bit of indirect help, that this relationship was not what she wanted. For real, why did he have to tell his daughter about that? What was Opie thinking? It's not something you brag about. After all, the marriage ended already. You're the a-hole for giving the plot away. My eldest daughter asked if I'd be able to cope with not having my buddy anymore. No, it made my daughter unhappy. There was no reason to monologue like a Bond villain. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for making my husband fish out our son's dirty diaper from the water? Hello. Me, female 29, and my husband, male 33, haven't gone out in a while, about 4 months. And the reason for that is he lost his best friend. They were like brothers, and this loss was very devastating for my husband. As a result, he's become less active and less interested in doing things. I wanted to cheer him up and get some family time together, and since weather is hot, I wanted us to go have fun at the beach. We had a tent at the beach and brought our own food and stuff we needed to spend the day. My husband wanted to change our son's diaper, so I let him handle it while I prepared a meal. When finished, I asked him to wrap the dirty diaper and put it in the trash bin outside. He went outside for a minute, then came back. I then went outside the tent and saw a teenager telling me my husband just tossed our son's dirty diaper in the water. I was shocked. I confronted him and asked why he didn't dispose the diaper in the trash bin. He said he couldn't find it after looking, and decided to toss the diaper into the water because he was too tired to walk further. I said it was unhygienic and disgusting to throw it into the water where people are swimming. His defense was that the waves were going to carry it away. I got so mad at him and told him to quickly fish it out the water because this was disgusting and disrespectful to nature and the people on the beach. He said he could barely see it, so no one would notice. I said someone could have got this on video and posted it, making us look horrible. I pressured him to go after he wanted me to go. He went and was able to get it out, then threw a fit saying I made him go into the water knowing he wasn't prepared, and that it wasn't an emergency, it was just a diaper and people pee in the sea, so what is the difference? He said I knew how much he's been struggling the past months, and wanted to enjoy a day out on the beach, but I treated him like a child and forced him to make a huge amount of effort to get the diaper out. He remained upset the rest of the day, claiming I exaggerated with how pushy I was. So, did I really ruin the day out for him by making him do that? Not the a-hole. That was lazy and disgusting of him, and he acted like a toddler. If he can't be asked to be an adult, he doesn't need to go on vacations. I understand his feeling down, but that's not an excuse. Also, the husband was confused why I can't throw pee into water. Almost all single-use diapers are not biodegradable and include a variety of plastic-based ingredients. But I treated him like a child and forced him to make a huge amount of effort to get the diaper out. You treated him like a child because he behaved like a child. The huge amount of effort, lol, was a consequence of his own actions. Piggybacking because I think you summed it up nicely. Husband acted like a child, belittling a used diaper into the water out of sheer laziness. I hope he's not the a-hole. Anyone who chooses to litter is the a-hole. Especially when that litter contains human waste. Especially when that litter is a diaper, which are known for being particularly damaging to the environment as they do not break down quickly or easily. A disposable diaper can take 500 years to break down. People pee in the sea, so what is the difference? Urine dissipates very quickly in seawater and is mostly made up of water. People can still step in a pile of baby poop, and a disposable diaper is made out of materials that take years to break down. And the earth is not a trash can. Not a hole. Grieving is no excuse to not use a trash can.